Welcome back to our Fibrify Design Suite tutorial. In the last video, we created our second layup and used the vertical distribution tool. In this video, we will have a closer look at the hybrid final part. We will prepare our model for export and have a short overview of all the different export options that we have within the design suite. As we can see here, this is the final stack up that we've created in the previous video. Until now, we have not talked about where all these different layers are stored. When we look inside the structure tree, we can see here a component which is quite important, which is called the hybrid final part. When we open this component, we can see here we have a total of 40 different layers in here, which are actually instances of the underlying layups that we have distributed using the vertical distribution tool. All these instantiated fiber solids that we have inside the hybrid final part are automatically updated when the vertical distribution or any of the underlying layups or prefabs is edited and updated. Maybe to show you this, I will quickly give you two examples. The first one is when we make changes to the reference geometry, for example. So in our case here, we have created quite some fibers with the reference to our base model. So let's say we go ahead and use the pull tool from Space Claim and just pull out this surface here, for example, let's say by 3 millimeters, and hit enter. You can see here fiber solids are updated, and as you can also see, these fibers have automatically been updated all the way from the single prefabs over our group prefabs to the hybrid final part. Also, what we can do is, let's say we have our part designed as we did so far, and now we remember we worked with the wrong layer height. So instead of 0.25, we wanted to use 0.2. So in this case, we can make changes quite quick here. We can change these values. And if we go back into the Fibrify Design Suite ribbon, we have one last fiber tool that we have not used so far, which is called Reconstruct Fiber Solids. And as soon as we click on it, everything will be recalculated. Let's go ahead and hide these central curves here. And at a first glance, you don't really see that there have been any changes, but when we look inside the hybrid final part, instead of these 40 different layers that we had before, we now have 50 different layers. So automatically the layer height was adapted, and automatically, since we have our setting here set to repeat until z equals 10 millimeters, the software automatically now creates 25 instead of 20 layers each to fill up our part until this 10 millimeter mark here. So these changes can be made, and as I said, are automatically updated within the hybrid final part. This is important to know because the hybrid final part is the basis to all our export options. All these export options access the data which is currently within the hybrid final part when used. This means to finalize our model, we have to also in this case, we actually have to copy in the plastic solids that need to be printed as well. So to quickly show you this and to actually prepare the final model for export, what we have to do is we can select our base geometry, which is in our case already called plastic body. We can then go to the MISC category here in the Fibrify Design Suite ribbon and set it as plastic. As you can see here in that properties menu of our plastic body, we now have a special body type which is set to plastic. And when we have a look at our part, it now changed color from a solid gray to a transparent red color, indicating that it is now officially our plastic body. And the last step would then be to use the subtract fibers from plastic tool here. So go ahead and click on it. And what is happening now is that all the fiber solids which are currently stored within the hybrid final part are subtracted from the solid we've just set as plastic, and everything that is left is copied inside the hybrid final part. And when I say copied, we have to make that differentiation here, because this does not work, it's not as automated as the fiber solids. So when we make changes to the fiber geometry again, what we would have to do to also make the changes to the plastic solids would be to go inside the hybrid final part. We can now see we have quite some plastic solids here assembled. We would have to delete these, redo the subtract fibers from plastic command, and then everything will be up to date again. So maybe to show you, we can use that plastic visualization tool here and show all. So this is now, or these are now all the plastic solids which have been copied inside the hybrid final part. So by showing the hybrid final part again, hiding the central curves, we can see our final model which is ready for export. And when we have a look up here, we have different export options which can be basically divided into 3 groups. The first group being the export for simulation. We have here an option to export an HDF5cc file, which can be directly imported to ANSYS ACP, where you can do an anisotropic simulation of the part, have a look at the results, come back, maybe make changes, and start an iterative design process between the simulation and our software, or Fibrify software here. The second category here is fibers and plastic to Stls. So we can export separately the fiber solids within the hybrid final part and the plastic solids currently within the hybrid final part to an STL format, which can be used by every slicer on the market. And then as a third option, we have our Fibrify export options here, meaning that we can generate a hybrid G-code within the Fibrify Design Suite software, which can be used by our Red series. With one click, we can send that G-code to our production environment, the Fibrify production software, where we can actually start production or just go ahead and print a part for a first prototype to look at. And this is actually the end of our video series. So this was the last video of our tutorial. If you have any questions left, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you for watching and enjoy using our Fibrify Design Suite.